Well, hello and welcome back to another episode of Take Back My Brain. I am so excited today because I have one of my favorite human beings on the planet who's going to share lots of nuggets of just beautiful information with you and his heart. And his name is Ben Azadi. So welcome, Ben.
Hi, Laurie. Great to be with you. I'd love and appreciate you. And I'm excited to have a conversation with you today.
I am too. So just so those of you who don't know Ben, let me tell you a little bit about him. In 2008, Ben Azadi went through a personal health transformation of shedding 80 pounds of pure fat. So ever since then, he has been on a mission to help 1 billion, that is with a B, people live a healthier lifestyle. He's also the author of 4 best-selling books that you all need to get: Keto Flex, The Perfect Health Booklet, The Intermittent Fasting Cheat Sheet, and The Power of Sleep. Ben has also been the go-to resource for intermittent fasting and the ketogenic diet. He's also known as the health detective because he investigates dysfunction and educates, not medicates, to bring the body back to normal function. He is also the founder of Keto Camp, a global brand bringing awareness to ancient healing strategies such as keto diet and fasting. Ben is also the host of a top 15 podcast. Again, all of you should listen to that podcast, the Keto Camp podcast, and the fast growing Keto Camp YouTube channel of over 130,000 subscribers, TikTok channel of over 200,000 subscribers, and over 30 million video downloads. Ben is on a mission and he is one busy man. And I am so excited to have this conversation with you because I love you to pieces. So thanks again for being here.
I love you right back. We're on this mission together. We've got an amazing group and we're making a big difference. And this conversation, I think, will make a big difference for those who listen. And congrats on your awesome podcast, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited that this has started and I just love sharing hope with people. So, yeah. And I want to share that because you have an amazing transformation story. You lost the 80 pounds. You got into keto. You have this thriving following. And what I know you best for is your attitude of gratitude. So you have all these other things, but when I see you and I'm around you, my whole being just lights up. I smile when I see you because I know that you are authentic and you just live this life of gratitude. So I just want you to share, how do you do that? And how does that work in your life?
Yeah, thank you, Laurie. Attitude of gratitude. That's the best attitude to have. You know, for most of my life, I had the opposite of an attitude of gratitude. I was angry and depressed and suicidal and resentful. And I saw what that looked like, and I see what it looks like when you have an attitude of gratitude. And I prefer the attitude of gratitude.
Me too. Me too. It's much more fun.
So much more fun. Well, you know, it really started when I took ownership and responsibility, right? And I really believe that word responsibility, most people don't even know what it means. And it's one of the most important words that you could understand the definition of. So I'm going to share my definition of responsibility. Okay. It is your ability to respond to life, right? And you could have a poor ability to respond to life, so being angry and resentful, or you could have an amazing ability to respond to life, being grateful and happy, etc. But it's really your power to choose whatever direction you want to choose. And faith and fear both demand for you to believe in something you cannot see. Right? Your choice, right? Why not choose the positive? Mm-hmm. So I once heard Dr. Wayne Dyer say, if other people are the cause of your problems, you would have to hire a psychiatrist for the rest of the world in order for you to get better, right? Yeah. And that's when somebody has a poor ability to respond to life, they're blaming others. So gratitude and the attitude of gratitude changes everything. I call it vitamin G. And it's not just like woo-woo. There's research that shows Dr. Joe Dispenza has done brain scans on individuals who are practicing gratitude, vitamin G. And he noticed 1,200 different chemicals and processes that went on instantaneously that puts the body in a healing, anti-inflammatory state. So if we have 60,000 thoughts per day, that means we have 60,000 opportunities to put our body in a healing state. And I believe it starts with gratitude.
Oh, I love that. That is key. And if we're reading, ancient scriptures like the Bible, it tells us life and death is in the power of the tongue. So do you want to speak life or do you want to speak death? Because you literally, it's that easy. You have that choice.
That's right. So good.
Yeah. So what are some practices that you do for maintaining that level of gratitude, that lifestyle?
Well, the first thing is awareness, right? It's a lot of people are just not aware of all those 60,000 thoughts that are coming in. And 90%, it's been estimated that out of those 60,000 thoughts we're having every single day, that's the estimation, 60,000 thoughts.
Wow.
They also estimate that 90% of those thoughts are the same thoughts from yesterday, Laurie.
Seriously?
Yeah, same, meaning people are not creating original thoughts. They're not thinking. And
You're just going in a cycle.
It's in a cycle, going through the motions, saying the things they said yesterday, thinking the things they thought yesterday, and it's all a result of our environment and learned behaviors. It's called the paradigm. They also determine that out of those 90% of thoughts that we're saying over and over and every day, 85% of them are negative, stinking thinking thoughts.
Wow.
And it's from our environment, right? The news, teachers, friends, family. It's all the negativity that develops this paradigm, which is just the subconscious mind just going on autopilot. Yeah. And if you're not aware, you can't change it. So the first step is awareness, because I once heard a guy named Vernon Howard, who wrote a book, I think it was called The Cosmic Path to Mystic Power. And he said, you cannot escape a prison if you don't know you're in one, right?
That's true. Yeah.
It's so true. And a lot of people are in a mental prison, especially if you're not aware of those thoughts. So the first thing is become aware of those thoughts. And when you have a negative thought, your greatest power as a human being is the ability to choose a different thought, is choose a positive thought. And if you change your environment, it makes it that much more easier. So that's the first step. You become aware. And whenever a negative thought comes in, a stinking thinking thought comes in, choose a powerful thought, focus on gratitude, get vitamin G, and it changes everything in that moment.
So what are some ways people can become aware? Because I'm sure people are thinking, well, I'd like to become aware, but I'm stuck in such a cycle. How do I become aware?
Your environment. You have to change your environment. So if you're watching the news every single night,
turn it off.
Turn it off. Well, right, Laurie, turn it off. If you are around people who are very toxic and gossiping and negative, spend less time with them or just cut them out of your life, because your environment will determine your thoughts, and your thoughts become embedded, and that becomes your habits, and your habits become your results.
Right.
So your environment, you have to do an audit. I always like to share with my Keto Camp Academy students this exercise to do an audit on your environment. And I tell them to grab a piece of paper. This could be great for your audience listening.
Okay, let's do it.
Paper. Yeah, let's do it. You grab a piece of paper, blank piece of paper. And what you do is you draw a line down the middle.
Okay.
Draw a line down the middle and then at the top. So you kind of form like a cross. And then at the top left here, you're going to write the word chargers. And then on the opposite side of the line, you're going to write the word drainers. And then what you're going to do is you're going to do an audit on everybody in your life. And you're going to think about these people, your mom, your dad, your friends, your family members, your coworkers. And if there's somebody in your life who you feel charged up after you have a conversation with, they support you, they inspire you, they energize you after speaking to them, you're going to put them on the left side. And you don't have to do this now, Laurie, but for your audience to do later, you're going to put it on the left side where it says charges. You're going to tally up all the charges in your life. And I got to let you know, it's probably going to be a short list. On the right side, you're going to put the drainers, people who are complaining, who are negative, who don't support you. You feel drained after speaking to them. You're going to write down all of their names. And then once you have that done, that audit done, then you just spend more time with the people who are chargers and spend less time with the drainers. That's the first step right there.
Right. So somebody I'm sure is thinking, well, what if it's my spouse? What if it's, my mom? Or like, how do we not spend time with them, Ben?
Well, first thing I would do is, instead of not spending time with them, is you would set boundaries with them and have a conversation. People treat you according to how you allow them to treat you, right?
That is so true. Say that again.
People will treat you according to how you allow them to treat you. It's the boundaries you don't set up, and they'll cross those boundaries. So you have a conversation with them and you let them know, like, I'm making these changes. I have these goals. These are what's inspiring me right now. And these are the things that I need to do. And when you're negative and when you have the news on all the time, and when you want me to eat these bad foods, it doesn't contribute to my goals. It actually hurts me. And if you care about me and you want me to do well, you want me to do these things, right? So you have these conversations with them. And if they're just unwilling to do anything for you, then maybe you could have the conversation of, okay, maybe I'll spend less time with them, as hard as that is. But I would have the authentic conversation and set the boundaries. That would be the first step.
Love that. Love that. All right. What's next?
The next step is gratitude. But what I mean by gratitude is not just thinking of what you're grateful for. That's great. But actually developing a gratitude practice. And the best thing to do is to write down right before bed, when your subconscious mind is highly impressionable, to write down 10 things that happened during the day that you're grateful for. So you go back and revisit your day. I'm grateful that I was able to hop on Zoom with Laurie Hammer and have a conversation on her new podcast and share my message and my story. I'm grateful for the clean water that I drink today from Fiji. I'm grateful for Ion and their supplement spray that I could take care of my skin health. So you think about 10 things that went on in your day, you write that down. And then in the morning when you wake up, same thing, grab a pen and paper and then just write down 10 things in general that you're grateful for. And what happens is this, and I shared this at Systemic Formulas when I saw you at Park City last year. There's a part of the brain called the reticular activation system. And it's a selective seeking mechanism, meaning whatever you feed that part of the brain, you see more of. Perfect example is if you want to buy a red Mustang and you buy a red Mustang, all of a sudden you see red Mustangs everywhere. And it's not because people just started buying red Mustangs, it's because now that you're focused on that reticular activation system now sees it. Same thing with gratitude. When you start practicing gratitude and feeding energy to the things you want and that you're grateful for, you start to see more things that you're grateful for and less things that you're resentful for. And that is a universal law. What you appreciate appreciates, and what you think about and what you think about, you end up bringing about. So a gratitude practice by writing it down is that next step.
Ooh, I love that. I love that. I'm kind of hit and miss on that. So that is definitely something that I want to be super consistent, because you get in bed and you're like, I'm just going to bed, but I can see that it works when I do it. It's just making it a habit.
And make it easy for you, right? Keep that pen and pad open with the pen on there, just ready to write it. So you're not having to find your pen and paper and all that. Just keep it very easy for you.
Right. And I suppose some people might be thinking, well, what if I can't think of 10 things? So then I would be like, just be thankful that you can breathe and that your eyes can see and whatever it might be. You have to write the same 10 things for 2 weeks until something new finally comes in.
Exactly. Even if it's the same thing, but you could definitely find 10 things to be grateful for. The bed you're laying on as you're writing your gratitude, the bed sheets, the pen and paper. That's 4 things right there. Your heart is beating, your eyes are seeing, your ears are hearing. I mean, that's easy. You just add that up real quickly.
Yeah. Just go around your house. I mean, you would get thousands of things that you could be grateful for just in your own home.
What I always tell people is if you're ever feeling resentful and upset and you want to shift towards gratitude, I always tell them to think of the word, the numbers 150,000. The significance of that is that that's the average of how many people die every single day across the world. 150,000 people on average die every single day. Meaning yesterday, 150,000 people fought for their last breath on this planet and they lost that battle. And today will be the same thing. So the fact that you're alive and breathing, you can put your hand over your heart. That in itself is something to be grateful for, because even the chances of a human being being born into this world is 400 trillion to 1. Okay. Wow. 400 trillion to 1. I actually have in my presentation at KetoCon next week, I have a slide. I'd love to read this for your audience. And I want to get the numbers quick because it's very important and it's going to shift your attention to how amazing it is just to be alive. So here is the slide. I'm going to read it for you. So 1 in 176 million are the odds of winning the national lottery. 1 in 176 million are your chances of winning the national lottery, but you still buy a ticket. 1 in 3.7 million are the odds of getting into a plane crash, but you still take a flight. 1 in 4,000 are the odds of getting into a car accident, but you still drive. 1 in 400 trillion are the odds of you being born and existing, and you're still questioning why your life is worth living and whether you're good enough. I mean, the fact that you're alive right now is a miracle right there.
Wow. Totally a miracle.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's a great perspective. Yeah. Like your life matters.
It does.
Every single person listening and those who are not, every single life matters.
It does.
So, that just makes me almost want to cry. That makes my heart. Yeah. Wow. All right. So how do we live a life that matters? Like gratitude. And then what else do we do, Ben?
Purpose. finding what's important to you, and that's unique to you, which is beautiful because nobody has your gifts and your purpose. The Greeks call it your telos, which is your highest values. And Dr. John DeMartini talks a lot about this. So you find what's important to you, and then you live congruently with that. And the cool thing about your highest values is that it's unique to you, meaning it could be being the best mom in the world. That is amazing. It could be being the best dad, the best soccer coach, the best football player, whatever it is, but it's your unique highest values. And I love this because when I first heard Earl Nightingale, well, I wasn't alive when he was around, he was in the 1950s, but when I first heard him share his definition of success, it made a lot of sense, especially when we're talking about highest values. So Earl Nightingale said, success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Ideal is a goal that you've fallen in love with, right? Your values. And as long as you're progressing towards that, you're a successful person. And that goal could be the best mom, the best babysitter, the best teacher, the best fireman, the best police officer, the best keto influencer, keto educator, whatever it is. But as long as you're closing the gap, but you need to find out what it is, what lights you up, what are you excited about? Once you find that, then you just work progressively towards that. You're going to be happier and healthier. And I always tell people, stop following the crowd. Start following your unique purpose. You have gifts, you're special, but you have to find out what it is and then live according to that.
Absolutely. So just do a 180 and go the opposite direction from everybody else.
You're typically going to be going down the right direction if you do the opposite of the masses.
For sure. We've really discovered that in the last few years too. So glaringly obvious. Yes. So that's another thing to be grateful for.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we've got gratitude and purpose. What else?
And on the topic of purpose, there was a book that came out in 1989 called Recovering the Soul by a medical doctor named Dr. Larry Dossey. Okay. In this book, they predicted by research when American adults had their first heart attack or stroke. And if somebody would guess, okay, they probably were smokers, they probably ate a lot of bad oils, they probably were sedentary, which all that contributes to heart attacks, but it wasn't even that. They determined that 85% of the time when people had their heart attack for the first time, it happened between Monday morning between 8 and 9 a.m. when they were driving to a job that they hated. Isn't that crazy? They were not living on purpose with their purpose, so much so that stress caused them to have a heart attack 85% of the time. Isn't that nuts?
It is nuts. It is nuts. And I know you and I probably deal with clients all the time that they're like, I hate my job. I hate my job. I hate my job. And they don't see results in their health because they have this major thing in their life that is constantly negative. So it's definitely a drainer, right?
Yeah.
And they're like stuck on this hamster wheel of this negativity, of this draining. And until they either change their mindset about their job or they find a different one that they do love, there's only so far you can go.
That's right. And if you live in America, you have that choice. You could change your mindset on your job, or like Laurie said, find a new one. When one door closes, another bigger and better door opens. It's just that people are so fixated on the door that was closed, they don't see all these amazing doors opening up for them. So it's your choice. If you live in America, if you live in a country that has freedom like America does, you could choose whatever you want to do. It is such a blessing just to live in America and have that freedom of choice.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And as a man without a vision will perish. So if you don't have a vision, you need to find one, Yeah. So what are some practical things people can do to try to figure out what their vision is? What is their purpose? Some people are just like, I don't know, I've been stuck here forever.
It's typically when time goes by fast, meaning you're doing an activity and it feels like an hour felt like 10 minutes, like you're in a flow state and you're done with that activity or task, whatever it is, and you're like more energized and you feel like time just flew by fast. That's typically you're going to be finding your sweet spot of what's important to you. And then you could find a business out of that, right? Yeah. You could find a career out of that. You could be able to help other people for that. But it's not about, like, a lot of people think I need to set goals, I need to hit those goals. And I love goals and I'm all for goals, but goals are not for getting, goals are for growing.
Ooh, I like that.
That's so important for people to get. Bob Proctor once said that, and I was like, that is so true. It's not about hitting the goal. It's about who you become
Yeah.
on your way to that goal, the people you help, the discipline you develop, the habits you create, and the mindset that you change. And it's who you become. It's what you get.
Mm-hmm.
It's not what you get, excuse me, it's what you become. So find out what is lighting you up. And if there's nothing that lights you up, then, change your environment, start hanging out with different people, start exploring different things in your life, take different classes. I don't know what it is, but, experiment with different hobbies and see what lights you up. And once it's like time flies by. When I do interviews like this, time flies by. When I speak on stage, time flies by. When I record content, time flies by. And I know you could relate to doing things that you love where time just warps by you, right?
Right. And you don't want it to end because it's so much fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And the same with people. So, you're around people who you kind of crave their presence and you just love being around them. And all of a sudden it's 4 hours later, and you're like, oh my gosh, I need to go home. And you didn't realize how time flew by. Those are the people that you want to hang around with, not the people who you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired.
Yeah. You don't want the drainers, you want the chargers. And I would add to, the recommendation, go study Bob Proctor. Bob Proctor, incredible. I call him the Michael Jordan of prosperity teaching. He changed my life. He saved my life. He's passed on now. That's a photo of him right behind me, but go watch his YouTube videos, go read his books, go listen to his audibles. That's the guy you want to study to really help you understand the subconscious mind, to find a purpose, to live happier, to live healthier.
Amen. I love that. I love it. So so you talked about a gratitude journal, being around chargers. What are some other things that you do to keep your mindset focused? Because you have a lot going on, but yet you still have a girlfriend, or I should say fiance, and you have family, you have friends. So what else do you do?
I live by my calendar, right? So whatever's on my calendar, I follow, right? So I'll put dinner with Natasha, my fiance, in my calendar. I'll put having dinner with my mom. Everything goes in my calendar. So as long as it's in there, I follow it. And I only put things in there that are important to me. I don't put things in there that are not aligned with my highest values. So once you find your highest values, then you set up your calendar. At least I do set up my calendar to align with that. And it's not a matter of, because a lot of people say, how do you manage time? Or I don't have enough time to do that. You can't manage time. It's impossible. You can only manage activity. And you only manage activity by having a set schedule. And for me, it's my calendar, but you align that up with what's important to you. A big part of that is the nutrition part, is the detox, the stuff you teach. It's the amino acids. It's making sure you have a healthy brain and a healthy gut and a healthy body, which is going to help you make better decisions. It's going to help you have more energy. So all the things that you teach, Laurie, is very important. It's foundational to help you make better decisions, to help you think clear, to get rid of the brain fog. So definitely listen to everything Laurie teaches you, and then combine that with these tips of gratitude, of your calendar, of Bob Proctor's work, and all of that will just manifest into something just incredible. And everybody has the same 24 hours in a day, from the most successful people to the people who are not successful. They have the same 24 hours in a day, but the people who are successful, they manage their activity. And by doing that, it seems like they have more time, but it's really because they manage activity.
Right. And I love that. I had a boss that used to tell me that same thing. He said, everybody has 24 hours in a day, Laurie. So what are you going to do with your 24 hours? Because I was a single mom at the time, and I was like running and really striving. But I wasn't managing my activity well, right? I was busy and I was stressed out. But it wasn't until I realized I got rid of the guilt, that I didn't have to do all those things that I was busy with because I just thought I had to, because that's kind of what society dictates. And then I started, managing my time, managing my activity. And then all of a sudden I had all this free time to spend with my son, and then it opened up to meeting my husband. And then, here we are 18 years later, and I have a successful practice, and we have a daughter, and we have a horse, and we've got all these beautiful things. And just keeping
Don't forget your dog.
Well, yeah, one back there sleeping, one out in the hallway, right? Yeah, you just have all these beautiful things, and just being intentional about keeping that activity management is key, because people are like, I just never see you anymore. I'm like, that's because that's not where my goals are. That's not where I'm focused at. I'm focused on, going to ride my horse with my daughter, or going on a walk with my husband, or, doing podcasts now. So
That's right. Yeah, it's so important. You nailed it. And that goes back to the boundaries thing. You're setting boundaries. And when you start to change, you become a threat to people in your life who are not changing. All right. So they'll say that, why are you not hanging out with us anymore? Why are you not going to this party or that club or whatever it is? They feel uncomfortable because you're making the changes, and it kind of points a mirror to the things they're not changing and the things they're not
Right.
doing. So you have to be really convicted with what you're doing and be okay with people not liking your decision, and let those comments just deflect off of you. But they're not even thinking though. They're just going through the motions like most people. So don't even worry about it.
Right, exactly, because it's not worth that thought process.
Exactly. Yeah.
I used to wonder why I'd have all these negative people around me, and I've never been like a negative person, but because I am such a helper that I just want to help everybody, right? And so then I would have all these people that would come around, and they would be time suckers, and then I wouldn't get all of my stuff done. And finally, I had a beautiful person in my life point out, said, maybe you should set a better boundary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough, especially when you want to help so many people. I could relate to that, but you can only do so much, and you really got to fill up your own cup. Otherwise, you're not going to even be able to help all these people, right? To your point.
Exactly. You have to be available for the things right in front of you. So
Yep.
yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. What are your top 3 things that you want people to know? We've talked about a lot, but if you were going to pick 3 things, what would they be?
Really get clear on your thoughts, meaning change your thoughts, change your life. But before you do that, you got to change your environment. So number 1, do an audit and change your environment if you need to. Number 2, become aware of those thoughts you're having every single day. And it's really tricky because it's when you are out walking your dog or riding your horse or brushing your teeth or washing dishes. It's all those thoughts that are seeping in. And when you have a negative thought, just let it pass and choose a better thought. So environment, number 1, changing your thoughts, number 2. I would say gratitude, vitamin G, number 3, which we established the importance of that. But all of this works much better when you are eating real food, when you are moving your body, when you are doing real detox, when you are fixing your gut, when you are taking amino acids, when you're doing all these things. It makes it much more easier. It's very challenging for people to do all these things when they feel sick and unhealthy.
Yeah.
So, follow Laurie's advice, follow all the experts she's interviewing on her podcast. Then it will make things much easier for you. And I also want to stress that it doesn't happen overnight, and it's not going to happen as a quick fix. A lot of people have that microwave thinking. It's a lifestyle change, but it took you years to get to this point. It's going to take you years to get to the opposite end, which is going to be health, vitality, and happiness. And a lot of people fall victim into comparing their results with their wife or their husband or their friend or their family member, but you're not competing against anybody. It is your race. It is your pace. And the only person you want to compete against is what you did yesterday, the thoughts you thought yesterday, the actions you took yesterday, and just get a little bit better each day, beat yesterday, and you'll gain momentum, stack that momentum, and you'll create an incredible life with happiness and health and vitality and a purpose on purpose.
I love it. Purpose on purpose. So that's what I see reflected in your life all the time. So
thank you, Laurie.
Like, I could keep talking about this for hours, but just take what Ben has said and like grab onto it and live that life on purpose, because there's nothing more beautiful than watching somebody live their life on purpose. And that's what I see in Ben's life. So thank you so much for all these beautiful nuggets, for just sharing who you are, being vulnerable, and loving on all of my audience. So thank you very much.
I see it in you too, Laurie. Thank you. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful to be on this mission with you, and great job with your podcast. I'm super excited about it.
Thank you so much. And all of Ben's information will be in the show notes, so you can contact him, join his keto camp, just connect with Ben, because you won't be sorry. So we'll see you next time on Take Back My Brain. Whoops. I can find.
You're looking for the pause button?
Yeah, I narrowed my.
I think it should be